let's do this, Duncan. It's gonna be this will be fun, and we're gonna make a lot of people mad, but I do not care. Let's disprove the gap theory. So back to what you just said in verse 26. So let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over all the creeping, or over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. I love that. So the first part of that verse I really want to attack is let us make man in our image. So when God is creating us, I love it so much because what is God doing right now?
He, in my mind, this is what he's doing. He's telling the Word, God the Son, let's make man.
Yes, but there's something there. So God make, what are we talking about?
So, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, and I'm just going to outright say it. Day 6, when God made man, is the only time that God used his hands to make something
It's
in
not where I'm
the
going, but this
days
is
of
true.
creation.
This is true. Not where I'm going. God's creating. We get this trait from God. Man, we naturally we want to build things. Jobs, we want to build families, we have this natural tendency to want to lead our families. These things,
Mm-hmm.
I 100% I believe that this comes pre-installed. We were made in his likeness. We were made in his image. I personally love YouTube because I enjoy creating things. It's a form of art. I think that is how we were made. God is obviously he's the author of all of this, but he's made us in this way to where we're capable of it. Music even. Think about it. God had to create music, the way that works. He had to create the brain, the way we think. Like honestly, we have to, and I'm going to attack evolution because I do not believe it whatsoever. And I can give you an argument from this chapter alone. And if you say, well, I don't believe God, I don't believe the Bible, first disprove it and we can talk. Because you can't. When you could prove to me without a shadow of a doubt it's false, let me know because you can't. And people have been trying for a long time and you failed every time. Every time there's been a theory, it's fallen through. And the Bible stands firm every time. So let's attack it slightly. If you believe a piece of dirt spun so fast and exploded, and I'm like, that's insane to me. I'm claiming there's an almighty, all powerful, eternal God who was never created and does not have an ending. That's what eternal means. No beginning, no end. Eternal. That's what it means. I'm
Mm-hmm.
claiming that, and you call me insane, but you believe a piece of dirt that came from nothing out of nowhere spun super fast, exploded, and everything was created. And then millions of years of evolution went through, and eventually we evolved. And it's like, man, that's insane. If we want to go and look at the odds, I encourage you. Do know if you have zero bias and you knew that, go and ask AI. I'm not supporting AI. I'm telling you to go and challenge it. Me and my beloved father did this, and it said, and we just asked it to analyze data. Do you know what it said? There's no way on earth evolution could be possible. And we were being not biased. I have the conversation. It's insane. It is the longest conversation. He's like, there has to be. There has to be a God because there's no way that you can explain anything without him. Like, really try to explain, like, especially anyone that is involved in any biological science, explain it. You believe what happened? And then go and calculate the odds. Either we're the luckiest race or the luckiest beings on earth, or there's an eternal God that knows what he's doing. And one's possible, one's impossible. There's 1,000,000% without a shadow of a doubt in my mind that God is right, that God is real.
You people who believe in evolution, I admire you.
Yeah,
You have to have more faith to believe in what you believe in than I do
it's
to
gospel.
believe in creation. I just, that's amazing that you can have so much faith I have met atheists, evolutionists, that they have so much faith that they're right that they will put their blinders on. Their equivalent of blindfold.
Mhm.
Just they don't want to see it. They don't want to see the facts. They don't want to see the data. They don't want to see the odds. They don't want
No.
to see the odds. The odds would end up not fitting on the page. One in whatever all else is in that direction because it ain't fitting on one piece of paper.
And the biggest affinity ever, it's not possible,
Mhm.
which is insane. Now, with that, we challenge you people. Go ahead, open the Bible and disprove it, and please let us know if you can find it, and we will look into it ourselves. Drop it in the comments. I can't speak. Now let's do this, Duncan. It's gonna be a little. This will be fun, and we're gonna make a lot of people mad, but I do not care. Let's disprove the gap theory. You ready?
Okay, sure.
So
But
let's start with this.
let's do that first by breaking down the first day, right?
Before that, can I just say one thing?
Okay.
Before we do it, we should. What is the gap theory?
Okay, sure. The
That's, I
gap
think, an important
theory.
question.
Okay, I'll explain what the gap theory is. And I guess if I'm going to explain what it is, I might as well explain why it's wrong.
Sure.
The gap theory is the theory that combines creation and evolution and states that the days mentioned in the history of creation in Genesis 1, the days mentioned there, it claims, is 1,000 years. The reason behind that is because of a later quote in the Bible, in the New Testament, where it is mentioned that to God, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. Now, that's pulled completely out of context.
Mm-hmm.
What it actually means is to God, time is nothing because he's outside of time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we were talking about, if you made a model house, would you be constrained by its limits? Would you be no bigger than the model of the house that you made because you made that? No, of course not. You'd be outside of it. So the same is time. God made time, so he's outside of it. He's not constrained by it. So, since I've explained what the gap theory is, that 1,000 years is the days that is mentioned here in Genesis 1, I divert your attention to the third day. I'll read Genesis 1 9 through 13. Then God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Now the next verse is the I should say the next three verses
Mm-hmm.
are what disproves the gap theory. Verse 14. Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years. Specifically, it says days there. It's for measuring days. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Well, here's another very interesting thing, which I will shelf for a second here while I make this point. The greater light to rule the day, that's the sun. Now, as
Mm-hmm.
any gardener or green thumb person knows, it's kind of hard to grow plants without the sun. Um, to which I say, well, I should say first, there's going to be some people that say, oh, yeah, but we have grow lights now. Yeah, about that. Grow lights took a lot of development to make because it is a special blend of infrared, white light, and ultraviolet light. it's necessary to have that special blend or it won't grow right.
Hmm.
The sun happens to be all that happy blend all by itself. You don't have to worry about that. So God made the sun for plants to grow, specifically like that, with all the mix of all the different kinds of light, infrared, white light, ultraviolet, for the plants to grow. So if the sunlight is for the plants to grow, and the sun was made the fourth day, but the plants were made the third day, gap theory can't exist because there's no way for the plants to have remained alive for 1,000 years without the sun.
Can I also throw another thing out?
Yes.
So that brings up. I would like you to just to make sure we're clarified. Go to the concordance. Let's get the Hebrew word for day and what it's talking about when he talks about in verse 5. Okay, when he made the land, when he made daytime, right? When it's saying that, let's get the Hebrew of that to clarify anybody who has that argument. Let's get Hebrew. But in the
Well,
meantime,
I can tell you without looking, it's yom,
yom,
but
which means
I'll look. It is yom. It means day. And let me bring up. It is the concordance entry H3117. Day,
mhm,
day, time, year. Day as opposed to night. Day, 24-hour period, as defined by evening and morning in Genesis 1, as a division of
mhm,
time, a working day, a day's journey. Days, lifetime, plural. Time, period, general. Year, temporal references. Today, yesterday, tomorrow.
mhm.
Yom.
So it it clarifies it is a 24-hour period. Now, can
Mhm.
evolution be the method that God used? No.
Absolutely not.
The reason being is for evolution to work, things must die. Death didn't enter the world until the fall happened in Genesis 3.
Mhm.
Creation was completed before Genesis 3.
A
Death
long
was
time before then.
wait, that's something we can have a conversation on. Um, in which we will gladly get to. It'll be a fun little debate, but not a debate. It'll be a conversation. But death was not here during creation. Not at all. So because of that, evolution cannot be possible because things must die for it to work. And death was not there until later on.
Mhm.
Now, with that, those are some huge lies that people have. And honestly, I will say this. I'm not judging you guys who thought the gap theory was true. It's not my heart. We're just correcting you. Lovingly correcting you as Paul did many times, right? Same heart. We just want you guys to know. Okay? Now, in that, if you believe there's a giant period of time in between day 1 and day 2, you bring up the issue that the Bible is not reliable because it says a day. It makes that clear. But you bring up a fault that the Bible has. The issue is the Bible has no faults. It is doctrinally sound. There's nothing in it that contradicts itself. And in that, it would be contradicting itself, and you wouldn't even make it past day 2. Okay?
So I will dare say one more thing here.
Go for it.
So regarding the other inconsistencies, supposed inconsistencies that people have with the Bible, they have it with the English Bible. I have a problem with that. My problem is not with the English Bible, it's with English.
Mm-hmm.
English is not a super reliable language. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure we have established that. It's not a language, it's more like five in a trench coat that keep beating up other ones for grammar.
Mm-hmm.
But we've established English is not the most reliable language to have conversations in. So any problems that people have with the Bible, I have a feeling are language related, not Bible related. If you were
Agreed.
to read it in its original form, which is why we use the concordance, you'll find the context, the true meaning, all that. You'll have no problems anymore. You'll know what it's talking about. So that's why we use the concordance so much, for those of you who are wondering. There you go.
And
Um, but I think that the main problem that people have with the Bible is not the Bible, but rather English.
can I add on to that?
Yes.
I don't even think it's necessarily just English. I will say if you have a concordance, you have a deeper understanding. And it's not that the English is incorrect. It doesn't mean don't trust the English version. You have to read Hebrew. It's
No,
not what
no,
we're
no,
saying.
no.
We're not saying that. What he's trying to say, just for clarification for you guys, is that if you have the Hebrew, it makes a lot more sense. That's it. It gives clarifications. It gives clarification in context. If you have a struggle understanding something, going to a concordance and getting the Hebrew, it's like, that's what it is talking about. It's just another tool to help you exegete. For those who aren't super into hermeneutics, it's basically exegeting is just understanding interpretation correctly, correct interpretation. Um, and that's why I highly recommend getting concordance. And plus, honestly, it's been a huge in that if you understand like the word Elohim and understand what it means, and then you read this, the triune God's referenced at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? And then you
It is.
see him throughout. And then when Jesus says it, I was there, right? Then it's like, but where were you in Genesis? We didn't see you. That's because you weren't looking at the Hebrew, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it brings context and it brings a better and deeper understanding. I mean, that's kind of why we went with the Great Fish Pod as the name, because what goes deeper than a giant fish, right? The idea is we want to be the great fish and dive deep, right?
Not only do we want to be the great fish and dive deep, but we want to be a pod of fish. A pod is a group of fish,
That's it.
and we want to dive deep together.
Hmm.
That is, I would say, the main thing here. There
So,
we go. We already told them what the meaning of our name here was now already.
yeah. Well, I
Can't
know
hide it anymore.
it took us 4 episodes. So, Duncan, because we're almost an hour into this recording, there's a lot. I know if we didn't reference the thing you wanted us to reference to, it's a time thing, not because we hate you. um,
I know.
I was gonna ask you, would you like to summarize day 1 through 7 in its entirety and tell us what each day is?
So I will actually. I would love to. The first day there was nothing, except there wasn't. Except there wasn't nothing. There was water. It says in verse 2, the earth was without form and void. There wasn't a specific form. And darkness was on the face of the deep. The deep what? And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters.
But that was all in the beginning.
That was in the beginning.
That was after it started. So
No,
it
that's verse
says,
2.
in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void. The darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit was hovering over the face of the waters. I remember
Water
we
was
had a
there
really
already.
good conversation. I think it was like over a year and a half ago on this.
There was a really good conversation we
I just
had,
don't
and I'll
remember
see
what it
if I can
was.
pull some of the points from that.
I don't. Yeah.
So when God said, "Let there be light," there was light. I like to think there was a explosion, not because of the Big Bang, but the only Big Bang there was creation, existence in a hurry to obey God. Let there be light. Boom, there's light.
He spoke.
He spoke, and it was. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So he just separated it. Light and darkness are different. They're opposite. He separated them. Now what would that have been in the middle? I don't know.
Hmm.
Could have been nothing. I don't know. Just separated it.
Well, I was gonna say it's interesting that you brought that up. Do you think that means when God said in the beginning, that means okay? I guess in the beginning, I've always thought of it this way. He literally separated the dimensions between heaven and here, like quite literally, he had to, because you have eternity and then in eternity.
Well, he wouldn't have been separating it then because the entirety of his creation at that point was still perfect. He was just separating literally light from darkness.
Well, I'm saying in the beginning,
Oops.
in the literal sense, time, heavens
Oh,
outside of
you're
time.
talking about
I'm
verse
no,
1.
I am because in the beginning I was going to say, yeah, no, I'm talking verse 1. That's where I'm talking. In the moment he says in beginning, time starts. Boom, boom.
Well, see,
That
I
means
see verse 1 as just like a opening. Like
it has to be though.
God created the heavens and the earth in the beginning. Verse 2, here's how. Verse 1, here's how I see verse 1. God created the heavens and the earth in the beginning.
Do you
Verse
think
2, here's how.
so? Does that mean? I know this is something that we don't have answers to, and you don't. I'm asking this kind of like it's a thought. It's a thought. That's
Mhm.
all this is. Do you think heaven was there before in beginning? Before in the beginning? Or was it created after? My brain is hurting trying to think about this because time is like, ouch. Like my head is like literally pounding. It's an interesting thought though.
After.
It had to be. Do you think when it says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth? What is he talking about? Do you think he's talking about space and time? Like a blank canvas?
We're actually gonna we're actually going to approach that in the fourth day.
Okay. Go for it. Start over. Just give us a summary because I just wanted to throw that out there. It's just
Okay.
interesting. Food for
So
thought.
I'll actually just I'll just address that for you right now. So in um in verse no verse 2, it's verse 2, not verse or day 2, sorry. um Verse 6, then God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters and let it divide the waters from the waters. What does that mean?
Do you think it's talking about this is going to sound weird and I'm going to try to do a hand motion to make it make sense? Waters and then waters? Does that make sense? Like he literally formed the earth with water and then the firmament, the outer layer, quite literally.
So this is regarding dinosaurs, okay? So when we have, I know this is a really wild
That's
tangent.
a
It'll
random
make
thing you
sense in a
brought up.
second. It'll make sense in a second.
Okay.
So you see the size of dinosaurs, right?
Hmm.
um, there is no way they could physically have gotten that big with their body type that we have like figured out. There's no physical way for them to have gotten that big unless the temperature was warmer and the air pressure was higher and the oxygen concentration was higher.
Um,
How would we have done that? Or how, well, not we wouldn't have done that, but how would
yeah.
that have happened? How would that have been possible before the flood? Because I'm taking into consideration that they were growing before the flood.
Yep.
It was literally a perfect biosphere.
Well,
What could it have been?
it would have literally had to been another layer.
There would have had to have been,
Yeah.
before the flood, an ice shell around the earth, which would explain how did it start raining so much?
Right.
Where did
Because
all the water come from? We look around and we see Earth has been literally rearranged.
well, it's
I would say it's been rearranged not only by the flood, but by the sheer pressure of all the water that never had been on the surface of the earth
mhm.
pushing down on the surface of the earth. That's why our tectonic plates cracked, because of the force of the water hitting them. Not only that, there was water underneath the earth too, because
Mhm.
during the time of the flood, the verses that are about the flood,
Mhm.
it says that water came up from the earth as well.
Can I throw a comment in there?
Yes.
It is stupid fascinating thinking about this because you said ice shell. That is incredible. I know some people. There's a psalm that talks about. I don't remember off the top of my head. That talks about how the stars were singing. It was a super old. I I'm not saying this happened because we weren't there before the flood. We don't know, but it's very possible this effect that was around the earth, the light shining through, could have quite literally made noise.
It is possible, but
That's incredible.
here's why I say I think there was an ice shell. One, it would have been a higher air pressure because of that. It would have been a higher oxygen concentration. 3, it would have been warmer because of the greenhouse effect.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it necessarily had it. I don't know if it necessarily had to be an ice shell, but it was definitely something of that nature. I like an ice shell because it gives you a really good visual. It's
An ice
something,
shell is what makes sense because if you go out into
yeah,
space, it's cold.
cold.
It's going to freeze.
Now, with this is incredible to think about. I love the image of an ice shell because it actually kind of makes sense, but it could have
It
been something else as well. We just don't
It
know.
does make
But if it,
sense, but it
but if
also makes the most sense along with this second day. And God divided the waters which were under the firmament, which were above the firmament.
you would have separated the two. Now, I would also throw out there, this is really fascinating. That would make so much sense why, although that makes it interesting when it starts to rain for the first time. Because I personally believe that what happened when the earth split, almost like a geyser, like all that pressure was built and it broke that layer, quite literally. Now, with that, I think now precipitation and everything works different because the sun, that greenhouse effect isn't any more like that. Does that make sense? It wouldn't have been
Right. Yeah, you're
the
right. It
same.
would be different because it's
It
gone.
broke, right? Which would explain with the greenhouse effect, with the oxygen being more pure, it would have literally made people live longer. There's
Yes.
scientific studies proving this. It would have made
Hmm.
animals live longer, which is why dinosaurs could get so big. And
Hmm.
then on top of all of that, this is one of my favorite side tangents. I'm so glad you brought it up. With all of that though, it's thinking pre-flood. Who knows? I mean, there's a reason why you can find like tropical plants on top of very tall mountains.
Hmm.
There's a reason for that.
Here's another thing.
Go for it.
It would have been warmer worldwide. It would have been a more
Sustainable.
a more uniform temperature worldwide. There would not have been as diverse of
Yep.
temperatures because think of it like in a greenhouse, it doesn't matter where you are in the greenhouse, it's the same temperature.
Right, because it's producing heat and the heat's not escaping.
Right.
It's kind of. Do you think it would have been muggy?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Because
I
that
agree.
is
Agreed.
the Bible says that is how the Garden of Eden was watered. The mist rose up from the ground and watered the garden.
Yeah. Wow, dude, it's incredible. Could you imagine just being there? Like, I was like, if you want to write anyone, I'm gonna give you. I should write this, and I shouldn't tell you guys, but I love you guys enough to tell you. Someone should write a series on what you guys think it would have been pre-flood, like just a series, like towards like Enoch or something, or Methuselah or something. Like, really
Like
think about it.
from their perspective.
Yeah. Even you could do something on the ark. Like the ark is a very fascinating one because it was before, like these kids, Noah and his family were there beforehand, and then after, they saw the difference in both. What was it
Mhm.
like? Do you think when they first saw snow?
I think they freaked out.
You're like, what the heck is this? Because
What is that?
this is what I believe, but I think right after the flood, that is when the ice age happened, like very quickly with how everything changed. Personally, that's
Well,
what I
yeah.
believe.
And so that actually would fit more
Yeah.
with what I was just saying about an ice shell.
Hmm.
Because if the ice shell fell, it would have been ice that just melted enough to drip down, right? And
Uh-huh.
it's already cold water and it rapid cooled the earth. And the earth is cooling down, cooling down, cooling down from our greenhouse effect temperature.
All that heat's
It's
escaping.
cooling
Yep.
down, cooling down, all the heat's escaping, and suddenly there's just a boom temperature shock.
Yep.
Ice age.
It makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for watching the Great Fish Pod. If you guys have any questions about this episode, please leave a comment. We would love to answer any of your guys' questions, and if there's some great ones, we might do some videos on that. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless.